Hello everyone and welcome to episode 2 of Major League Baseball Trade Trees with me, your host, Evan Thompson, editor-in-chief and national writer at Sport Relay. In this series, we will take a trade and go through how it developed over time. We will go beyond the original trade, seeing what teams have done with the assets they gained from the trade. Some of the trees we look at are still active, and some will have ended. For this trade tree, we will look at the most fateful trade of the 21st century. First, the guidelines. A branch of the trade tree remains active when said player leaves and the team gets one or more human assets in return. In baseball, this happens in two ways. Obviously, the first method is for a team to trade the player in return for one or more players. The other method happens when a player leaves as a free agent and the team gets one or more compensatory draft picks. Also of note, in baseball, the only draft pick a team can trade is a competitive balance draft pick. However, they can trade minor leaguers all they want. One of the best-known clips of the 2010s came from Citi Field in New York on July 29, 2015. Mets middle infielder Wilmer Flores, playing shortstop in this game, had been signed by the Mets as an amateur free agent out of Venezuela at the age of 16. 8 years later, he found out mid-game that the only organization he had ever been a part of was about to trade him. The fans found that out too and gave him a heartfelt ovation in the 7th inning. While Flores was on the field in the 8th, he had tears in his eyes. He still had the tears when he left the field, and he had to be pulled as the trade was announced. Here was the trade. Flores and right-handed pitcher Zach Wheeler were going from the Mets to the Milwaukee Brewers for speedy outfielder and known behavior problem Carlos Gomez. All that had to happen was the medical exams, but they were a mere formality, right? Wrong! Word surfaced that the Mets were worried about Gomez's hip. Conflicting reports emerged about the Brewers being worried about Wheeler's recovery from Tommy John surgery. At any rate, by the next day, this trade was a no-go. But the Brewers did not give up on unloading Gomez for prospects. The next day, July 30th, they found another taker for Gomez, the resurgent Houston Astros, who had recovered from 3 straight 100-loss seasons between 2011 and 2013 to battle for their first playoff berth in a decade. In fact, it was their first playoff berth since being swept in the 2005 World Series by the Chicago White Sox, who themselves were winning their first title since 1917. The Brewers sent Gomez, cash, and another player to the Astros. In return, the Astros sent 4 players. The first was right fielder Domingo Santana, whom the Astros received as the player to be named later in the Hunter Pence trade to the Phillies. Santana had the best years of his career with the Brewers, putting up 3.7 WAR across 351 games. He went .293 for 1103 and slashed .266, .355, .482 with 62 doubles, a triple, 52 home runs, 155 RBI, 20 stolen bases in 28 attempts, and 157 runs scored. Santana became the everyday right fielder in 2017, a season that saw the Brewers finish 86-76, second in the NL Central and 1 game away from a wildcard berth. He lost his starting job the following season, but not because he necessarily did anything wrong. The Brewers had traded for Christian Yelich, so the only wrongdoing on Santana's part was not being as good as Christian Yelich. But he's in good company there. However, Santana gave the Brewers some outfield depth that allowed them to survive some outfielder injuries en route to winning the 2018 NL Central title and reaching Game 7 of the 2018 NLCS. Santana played in all 10 of the Brewers' postseason games in 2018, having 1 plate appearance in each game. He went 2 for 8 with 2 walks, a double, 3 RBI, and a run scored for a .250, .400, .375 slash line. Yes, solely as a pinch hitter, in a postseason run that got his team within 1 game of their first World Series since 1982, second World Series ever, and first as a member of the National League. Before we go to the second player the Brewers received from the Astros, let's finish off the Domingo Santana branch. That offseason, the Brewers shipped him to the Seattle Mariners for outfielder Ben Gamel and right-hander Noah Zavolis. Zavolis pitched in the Brewers farm system until they released him August 31st, 2022. Gamel played 174 games for the Brewers across the 2019 and 2020 seasons, mostly in a reserve or platoon role. He went 104 for 425, slashing .245, .331, .381 with 26 doubles, a triple, 10 homers, 43 RBI, 53 walks, and 60 runs scored for an 0.2 WAR. Gamble also played in the 2019 NL Wildcard game and Game 2 of the 2020 NL Wildcard Series, making a plate appearance in each. After the 2020 season, the Brewers non-tendered him. In non-baseball terms, that means they didn't offer him a new contract, which made Gamble a free agent. They did not get any compensatory picks, so this ends the entire Domingo Santana branch. The second player the Astros sent to the Brewers was outfielder Brett Phillips. If he sounds familiar to you but you can't quite place him, it's probably because he had the walk-off single for the Tampa Bay Rays in Game 4 of the 2020 World Series against the Los Angeles Dodgers, a play that turned into a comedy of errors. But at the time of this trade, he was still in the minors. Phillips debuted with the Brewers on June 5th, 2017, and played 37 games for them that season. He played 15 more in 2018 for a grand total of 52 games with the Brew Crew for a 1.3 WAR. Over those 52 games, he went 28 for 109, slashing .257, .331, .413, with 3 doubles, a triple, 4 homers, 16 RBI, 5 stolen bases in as many attempts, 11 walks, and 11 runs scored. On July 27, 2018, with the trade deadline approaching, the Brewers packaged Phillips with right-hander Jorge Lopez and sent them to the Kansas City Royals for a former World Series champion on an expiring contract, Mike Moustakas. Moustakas spent the rest of 2018 and all of 2019 with the Brewers, starting all 10 playoff games in 2018 when, as mentioned earlier, they came within 1 game of the World Series. Moustakas also made the All-Star team in 2019 and played in the 2019 NL Wildcard game. Overall, Moustakas played 197 regular season games and 11 postseason games for the Brewers. In the regular season, he went 183 for 718, slashing .255, .328, .496 with 42 doubles, 1 triple, 43 home runs, 120 RBI, 72 walks, 100 runs scored, and 3.1 WAR. He left as a free agent after the 2019 season, and the Brewers did not get any comp picks, so the Brett Phillips branch stops here. The third player the Brewers received from the Astros was right-hander Adrian Houser. In 2015 and then again from 2018 through 2023, Houser pitched in 129 games for the Brewers, putting up 3.6 WAR. Across 539 and 1/3 innings, he went 31 and 34 with a 4.00 ERA, which is a 94 ERA minus, and a 13.57 WHIP. He was on 3 division champions, 2 wildcard teams, and an NL runner-up, although he did not pitch at all in the 2018 postseason. He did, however, pitch in 3 games across the 2021 and 2022 postseasons. After the 2023 season, the Brewers traded Houser and outfielder Tyrone Taylor to the New York Mets for right-hander Coleman Crowe, who has not yet made the majors but is still in the Brewers farm system. Therefore, this branch ends here for now but is still alive. The fourth player the Astros sent to the Brewers was a flame-throwing left-handed reliever who blossomed into one of the league's elite closers, Josh Hader. Between 2017 and 2022, he made 4 All-Star appearances, won 3 Trevor Hoffman Reliever of the Year awards, which is what they call the National League Reliever of the Year, and made the All-MLB team twice. He was on 2 division champions, 2 wildcard teams, and on the 2018 NL runner-up, making 11 postseason appearances. Hader pitched 269 regular season games for the Brewers, all in relief. He finished 155 games, converting 125 of 143 save opportunities, which is a percentage of 87%. Hader went 17 and 17 with a 2.48 ERA, which is a 58 ERA minus, an 8.82 WHIP, and 10.4 WAR. His strikeout and walk percentages also warrant attention. His K percentage as a Brewer was 44%, nearly double the major league average over the same span. Combining that with his 10% walk percentage gives him 34 K minus walk percentage. The major league average for that is 14. He was a huge part of the Brewers' current run of postseason appearances, at least the beginning of them. The emergence of Devin Williams allowed the Brewers to sell high on Hader, which they did on deadline day, August 1st, 2022, to the San Diego Padres. In return, the Padres sent left-hander Robert Gasser, right-hander Dinelson Lamet, left-hander Taylor Rogers, and outfielder Estory Ruiz. Initially, this trade didn't turn out very well for the Brewers. They released Lamet almost immediately, designating him for assignment. Instead of reporting to the minors, Lamet elected free agency. Taylor Rogers pitched 24 games down the stretch in 2022 with mixed results. He had more good appearances than bad, putting up a league average-ish 1304 whip and a 75% scoreless outing percentage. However, 3 of the 6 games in which he allowed earned runs were disasters, as he allowed 4 earned runs twice and 3 earned runs once. Furthermore, 6 of the 20 hits he gave up were home runs, including 2 3-run blasts and a grand slam. This ballooned his ERA to 5.48, which is a 1.35 ERA minus, and contributed to a negative 0.4 WAR. After the season, he left as a free agent without the Brewers receiving any compensation. Robert Gasser made his Major League debut May 10, 2024, and made 5 starts, 3 of which were terrific, 1 that was effective and 1 was shaky, before succumbing to an elbow injury that required Tommy John surgery. He is still on the club. Esteury Ruiz only played 3 games total for the Brewers, all in the 2022 season. However, that offseason on December 12th, the Brewers traded him in a 3-team deal with the then Oakland Athletics and the Atlanta Braves, the same deal that made Matt Olson an Atlanta Brave. The Brewers sent Ruiz to the Athletics. In return, they got 2 players from the Braves and 1 from the Athletics. From the Athletics came right-handed reliever Joel Payamps, who has been nails as a late-inning reliever. He has pitched 129 and 2/3 innings in 137 games across 2 seasons, all in relief, putting up 2.7 WAR. Payamps has prevented opponents from scoring an earned run off him in 111 of his 137 appearances, an 81% scoreless outing percentage, which is nearly 10 percentage points higher than the NL average over that span. Those who follow my writing and have seen the reliever roundup and bullpen bonanza videos know that I don't put too much stock in reliever ERA, but he's good in that department as well. 278, which is a 65 ERA minus. He's not a closer, he's a setup man, so saves don't really matter with him. Those who follow my writing and have seen the reliever roundup and bullpen bonanza videos also are familiar with the goose egg statistic. He's been terrific there. 54 goose eggs versus 11 broken eggs, a ratio of 4.9. NL average over that span? 3.1. He's also been stingy with inherited runners, only allowing 3 of the 29 to score. That rounds to 10%. League average for inherited runners scored percentage is always in the low 30s. And finally, his whip is 10-10. League average there tends to be in the low 1300s. Now for the players the Braves gave the Brewers. One was right-hander Justin Yeager, who has yet to make the majors but is still in the Brewers farm system. The other player has been a valuable part of the Brewers' back-to-back NL Central championships in 2023 and 2024. He won the Silver Slugger both seasons, started the All-Star game in 2024, and played every inning in all 5 of the Brewers' postseason games. Catcher William Contreras. In 296 games across 2 seasons, Contreras has already put up 8.6 WAR. In addition to being a strong defender, Contreras has gone 323 for 1135, slashing 285, 366, 462 with 75 doubles, 3 triples, 40 homers, 170 RBI, 15 stolen bases in 18 attempts as a catcher, 141 walks, and 185 runs scored. Now for the Astros side. After trading for Gomez, the Astros made the 2015 American League playoffs, defeated the Yankees in the wildcard game, and took the eventual World Series champion Kansas City Royals to the full 5 games in the division series. They had the Royals on the ropes, too, coming within 6 outs of eliminating them in Game 4 when they held a 6-2 lead in the top of the 8th, only to give up 5 runs in the 8th and 2 runs in the 9th, losing the game 9-6. Despite the postseason berth, Gomez's time in Houston was not productive. Gomez played in 126 games across 2015 and 2016. He went 98 for 444, slashing 221, 277, 342 with 25 doubles, a triple, 9 homers, 42 RBI, 23 stolen bases in 28 attempts, 29 walks, and 46 runs scored for a negative 0.2 WAR. They tried to trade him, but couldn't find anyone who wanted to take on the remainder of his contract. He was due to make $9 million in 2016, so they designated him for assignment August 10th. 8 days later, after he had cleared waivers, they released him, so they got nothing for him. The other player the Astros received was a pitcher. In his time with the Astros, he pitched 70 games, 67 starts, 3 in relief. Across 384 and 1/3 innings, he went 21-19 with a 4.59 ERA, which is a 1.12 ERA minus, and a 13.37 WHIP. In 2016, he led the majors with 17 wild pitches, and in 2017, he led the AL with 13 hit batters. He was not on the roster at any point in the 2017 postseason when the Astros won their first World Series in franchise history. After the season ended, he left as a free agent. The Astros did not get any compensation, so that ended their entire side of this trade tree. Now, why was this the most fateful trade of the 21st century? We saw from the Brewers side that it gave them several key pieces from their current multi-year run of success, including 2 crucial players currently on the team. The pieces they received played a combined 45 playoff games and put up 33.4 WAR and counting. But as for the Astros, one player barely lasted a calendar year and the other left after a year and a half. Neither played a single game in any of the 4 World Series the Astros have played in since the trade. So how is it fateful for them? Because the pitcher they received was Mike Fiers, who blew the whistle on the sign stealing and trash can banging, the biggest baseball scandal in 100 years. So, what do you think? Was this the most fateful trade of the 21st century? If not, which one was and why? Leave us a comment, let us know. And if there are any other trade trees you'd like to see us do, let us know that in the comments as well. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the most fateful trade of the 21st century. Stay tuned for more episodes of Trade Trees where we explore the intricate web of trades and their lasting impacts on teams. Before you go, click like if you liked this video. Tell all your friends. Click subscribe so you'll never miss an episode. Buy my books, A Complete History of the Major League Baseball Playoffs, Volume 1 and now Volume 2. And finally, bookmark and regularly visit sportrelay.com. Until next time, this is Evan Thompson saying so long for now.